Welcome to On the School Bus with Dr. Spates, the podcast dedicated to advancing creativity and innovation in education. Each week, we invite educators, innovators, and creatives from across the country doing the real work in schools to hop on the school bus with me, Dr. Spates. Together, we explore what's working. Whether you lead from an office, a classroom, or anywhere in between, this podcast is your vehicle for creative ideas, bold leadership, and strategies that have been put to the test where it counts in schools. Because our children, families, caregivers, and communities are counting on us to equip the next generation for success. Let's go.
Hey, I'm Greg Franklin, professor at the Rossier School of Education and coordinator of the K12 Leadership Concentration. I'm here joined by Dr. Krishna Spates, a graduate of Rossier. And welcome, Krishna. Thanks for taking this time to speak with our students.
For having me. It's wonderful. Wonderful to be here. I am the principal of 6th through 8th grade middle school.
Great. How did you get to that position, Krishna? Can you kind of give us a rundown on your career path?
In 9th grade, I said I wanted to be a teacher. I sort of veered away from that. But after deciding to go to Sac State and pursue policy, I was a full-time AmeriCorps member 2 years. My placement was at Sacramento Country Day School for Summer Bridge National, which is now Breakthrough Collaborative. In that role, we were preparing rising middle school students to be successful, and then also preparing high school and college students who thought they wanted to be teachers to be teachers during our summer program, and fell back in love with teaching. I identify as a veteran teacher. So 17 years teaching. I loved being in the classroom. I had an amazing principal along the way who really created space for us to show up and bring everything we had to support students. I was voluntold to do AVID. The coordinator had to step down mid-year, and it was an amazing program. And so I stepped up to lead AVID at my site. And then I was a assistant principal for 3.5 years. And now I am going into my 3rd year, just finished my 2nd year as a middle school principal.
That's awesome. Can you tell us just a little bit about your school, maybe by the numbers, how large it is, et cetera?
Sure. We have 817 students. We have about 74% of our students are Latino, about 15% are African American. We are a Title I school district. I think it's just important beyond just those basics demographics. We have 140 students that we support with IEPs. This year, we'll be welcoming about 105 English learners, and we have about 34 GATE students.
Great. It was a pleasure for me to be associated with you at Rossier while you were a student, and twice as exciting for me to watch your progress and success you've had as a principal. And I know that you brought quite a team to the Breakthrough Leadership Institute a year ago, and you had identified student belonging as your problem of practice. Can you share with us how it is that you arrived at that?
Absolutely. As a first year principal, my goal was really to learn about the community. And so, but also continuing to do the work. So one of the structures that's important to our school district is PLC Plus, getting our team to use that as a way to talk about student data. But I realized through survey, people's different comfort level looking at data and analyzing that to make decisions. So we went on a journey looking at campus climate data, not really focusing on the classroom, but looking at attendance and suspensions and behavior referrals. And every teacher decided to choose a common challenge that they would work on as a team and research and put together a plan that we would, implement together. But at the end of that work, when we came together as a team, the people who said they were interested in going to Breakthrough Leadership, I think it was spending a lot of time looking at our campus data that the team realized in order to make movement at our school, we needed to focus on belonging.
Great. And you had the largest group we've ever had at Breakthrough Leadership. How did you assemble that team?
Luck. At the end of the first year, about half of our certificated staff moved on. So we had, it was a big retirement year for us. People left the district to go to other places and just natural attrition, right? So that's a huge amount of people. And so I found the opportunity and I put it out there to see who might want to go just to continue our work looking at common challenges. And I was shocked that the remaining staff, teachers, they signed up to go. I was pleasantly surprised, but of course it presented a new issue because I was expecting only 5 or 6, but now we had about 22 who were interested. And I did open the opportunity to certificated and classified, but at the end of the day, it was the certificated staff who ended up coming.
We share a lot of research about the importance of emotional intelligence to being a successful leader. Can you talk about how you build relationships with your staff, especially as that new first and second year principal?
One, helping people understand where you're coming from. And I think we're all in education, the majority of us, right? Because we love children. And I'm starting there. So people really understand that, I believe one changed life changes generations. And I think our team, that resonates with them as well. And so if you believe that, and I do, and looking at the data just of the school that I get to serve and support right now. So if you look at the scores that were not just released, but what's there for 23-24, 24% of students, only 24% meeting or exceeding the standards in ELA and 15.72 in math. Like, we're in crisis. So the work is very, very serious. And so I understand in order to make movement, we have to do this work together. So it can't just be me. It can't even just be a leadership team of 10 people where we're making decisions for the entire school. It takes everybody. So certificated, it takes classified. And so I genuinely believe that everybody is important and everybody is there for a reason and has something that they can give to support students. And we need to create space and allow people to tap into their expertise and their interests, no matter what their role is, in order to move that needle forward. So that's my operating space. So that's where I come from. So in that, some of the things that I'm thankful for this opportunity, because I think as in education we do so much, but we don't get an opportunity or take the time to really reflect so that we can share with other people. So thank you for this. I took some notes of some things, just showing genuine appreciation. I have relationships with our crossing guards who support us that we share on every single corner. There's things like they wanted radios. Yes, you need radios. We need to communicate with you, giving them that, like giving them the school swag so that they understand that they're a part of the school community. Really listening. So especially that first year, doing that listening and learning tour. So doing one-on-ones with every single person, certificated, classified, showing appreciation, just little things, and I know this is some kind of surface, but like even just donuts in the morning, they're cold, they're hungry, supporting our kitchen staffs, doing those things intentionally every year, take time in the middle of the year to write just appreciation notes to every single person on our team. So to do that, you really have to pay attention and like get to know who's on your team. So wanting to let them know that they're seen, and I thank them for what they individually do. I believe in celebrating publicly. So on social media, constantly giving credit to the people who are actually doing the work, our certificated and our classified staff, because everything matters, for attendance, clean restrooms, clean campus, all of those things. Even listening when I first came, trying to understand, looking at facilities our facilities are beautiful and I have incredible support and incredible central office that I support. But when I came, there was like graffiti in every single restroom. And I'm like, what's happening here? But taking the time to listen and understand, of course, we're humans. And so if the facilities team is working hard to clean the restrooms, but every single day they come and they're filthy and there's graffiti, everybody's going to feel defeated, right? So making sure people know that putting systems in place so everybody feels supported and feels like my work matters. And so that requires working with people to work differently, which can kind of create a little bit of challenge at first, but in the end, it pays off, right? I would say also just listening. So even with public affirmations, systematically, there's a sheet I have when I do morning announcements. So I intentionally celebrate a certificated person and a classified person, and I keep track. Even with the social media, even with the notes, as an example, I started meeting with teachers every 2 weeks during their prep, and we would talk about just instruction and standards. And so I kind of noticed her energy, and so I was just like, "Hey, like let's touch base, after this meeting." And so we talked, and I was like, "What's going on?" And she just shared that she didn't feel appreciated because at the beginning of the year there was like something happened, and so I think it's important just to listen and own it. I apologize, let her know like the place where I'm coming from is like that's not my intention, that's not who I am, but just owning it and then fixing it. And then she even shared a suggestion with us. So after we have our Wednesdays when our department meetings meet, she felt like there was kind of a disconnect in communication. So she had an idea of creating a structure where I have space on my calendar to check in with them right after that. So it's great. So again, just listening. And sometimes it's hard to engage in those conversations where you feel like it may be negative, but if we remember that those numbers, right? Like the academic and the suspension, like the kids are worth it. So we have to adjust. And another is I hold monthly time on my calendar for our teachers union and our classified union, just collaboration time. And so that they can hold me accountable if I'm not honoring the collective bargaining agreement. And even if there aren't those issues, they just have space to share what's going on with their teams. I also just to kind of create systems in place so that everybody has voice because some people may feel like they need anonymity, right? To be honest. So I have a standing heart and mind survey that I share. It's on our agenda. It's just standing. So I'm able to get anonymous feedback and address it in different ways as I see things come up. So I guess listening in different ways, creating space for people to share what's really on their heart and mind, affirming people publicly, privately, and then also making affirmation like systematic. So in addition to what I do, I ask my assistant principals, like we break down our staff list into three and we leave post-its. Yeah, so those are some of the things.
You said so many great things, but two things I want to pull out. One is when the teacher shared that she didn't feel appreciated, and you're working so hard at instituting appreciation and recognition and that it's very difficult not to be defensive. From what you described, the leadership maturity to just accept the feedback because you don't get to decide how others feel. If she feels that way, she feels that way. And to move forward with her. And the net result is you've got a team member now.
Right, absolutely.
That's awesome.
And it's not about us.
Yeah.
It's not about us. It's about our children and our families. And she also she planned two incredible team building staff meetings for our entire team after that conversation. And I find that sometimes people want to dismiss employees because like they're disgruntled or they're negative. But I find that those people, like maybe they were just passionate and hurt by a system or a person, and we just have to re engage them. Like those are people who care. Those are people who care. So,
Oh, that's awesome. The other thing that you mentioned was your recognition midway through the year, where you write a personal note to every staff member. I think that's faculty and staff.
absolutely.
Yeah, and so I'm just curious. You mentioned you have to pay attention so that you can personalize and talk about real things. Which came first, your decision that you were going to do that, or you're paying attention, and so then you thought of, oh, I can recognize folks.
Yeah, just paying attention. It was a practice I was, able to do when I was an assistant principal. My first time, it was just with the new duties, the team that I supported in my first assistant principal role. And the second one, my principal allowed me to do that with our team. I think it's just natural. I'm out with my kids in the morning, to greet them at lunch, spending time, except in the spring when it gets a little busy.
That's awesome. Can you share how you led the work process as the team was planning the implementation of the belonging? So you came to the Breakthrough Leadership Institute and you really allowed leadership to bubble up and it was definitely a shared leadership, but there was still a lot of planning and work to do. How did you lead that work? back at the ranch?
Some successes and challenges. The success, before the school just had one leadership team. We have four now. One was our belonging team. We do capturing kids' hearts, instruction, and then we had positive behavior. And so the belonging team was put in place to really support the work of the teachers because one teacher really stepped up to lead that work and just be the support for the entire campus. Every single teacher except for one, and she got him in the end. He signed up, organized and planned those activities. So that was the structure that we put in place. But we learned at the end of this year that wasn't enough. And so we need to at least two meetings, give entire staff meeting time for teams to meet so that we're not giving teachers something else to do or they're taking on something else to do without the structure to support that because their time is really tough. So I think with that tweak next year, giving them time to, do Canva and do all the planning because it doesn't take much to do because what we said we would do 13 caregiver engagement events. So that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
And then we had a family belonging team and we had a student belonging team. And so the family belonging team was extremely successful, but not so much the student belonging. Like our hearts were in the right place, but it wasn't structured and organized like it was for the family belonging. So next year we'll focus on that. But we were able to do some of the things that we talked about, like also making sure that every single student on our campus received a genuine affirmation. So one of the things we talked about at USC was printing rosters. So we had oversized rosters of all of our children. We went through and put stars next to everybody. We'd given a postcard or a parent call home to, and then we saw who was left. And we really rallied together at the end of the year to make sure every single child received a positive affirmation. So that was a success in one, the adjustment for next year. And then it kind of aligns with what our focus is going to be next year, really the student connection piece and working on that belonging.
And you and I have talked a little bit about selecting belonging, not just for belonging's sake, but then to see the outcomes of belonging in achievement, in attendance, in discipline. Can you tell us how it went?
Yes, absolutely. With attendance, we have, 10 attendance months. So 9 out of 10 attendance months are comprehensive middle school because we have 5 magnet comprehensive middle schools. We had the highest attendance rate, 9 out of 10 months. And then the numbers just came out for the average attendance rate for the year. So it was 93.38. So that is really exciting. We saw 18% decrease in behavior referrals this
Wow.
year. And then the reason why we're all here, the student achievement piece. So just looking at our preliminary CAS scores, we're looking at about a 4.96. So hopefully it'll be 5% bump in ELA and then about a 2% bump in math.
Kristen, superintendent math, 5.96 is 5%. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're really excited. We're not, we're still in crisis, but it's exciting that, we all own the data now. I think that's the other piece. We all own it, like the academic, the campus climate data. And so now I'm excited to begin with our team with the excitement because they can see everything that they've been doing. It's working. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
What feedback are you getting from your district office?
Very pleased. Our superintendent has, mentioned it's really tough to get 93% in middle school, especially in the spring. So we've been pretty consistent at 93%. That feels good. And I've gotten a few text messages about the bump in scores and because that can be a challenge in middle school as well. So yeah, I have a great central office, very supportive.
And leadership is hard. We all know that. You have such a positive aura about you. What do you do to maintain your energy and positive outlook for yourself?
I think it's just what I said, just in the beginning. It's not just a job. I feel very blessed that I get to do this work and serve and support a team. And maybe it's personal because of my parent. I think about the people that saw college potential in my dad in Michigan who grew up in poverty. And if it wasn't for a teacher who saw something in him and encouraged him to go to college, my life would look totally different. I may not be here. The same thing with my mother. And that's just one life, right? But now my kids, they're going to be fourth generation college students. I'm committed to this work. So everything else, it's, like the little things that can get in the way. It's just I guess it's an opportunity to just be creative and keep going so we can move the needle, so we can change generations of lives. So
That's awesome. Krishna, I really appreciate you spending this several minutes with us, telling us your story, and it's very inspirational. Thanks so much.
and can I just add one more thing too?
Please. Yeah.
I think the other piece is I say, I identify as a veteran teacher because I was completely happy in the classroom working with my students until I experienced that principal who forced, and I say that intentionally, forced, middle school to collaborate. You're like, "Grr, I don't want to collaborate." And then creating space for us to be creative, to serve students, that really did something to me. And that's because I experienced it. And so now I'm very collaborative with my teams and with, just with my teams, with my colleagues, because I realized, that him forcing us to collaborate, that we have to. We can't do the work on our own. So even when it comes to master schedule, that's another thing with building relationships. I don't do that with my admin team in our office. It really is a school effort creating classes and proposing them to add to our master schedule to our central office. That's something that I take a lot of pride in doing, but everything is a collaborative effort. I do explain though, even though I hear you, sometimes it's consultative, but I think my team understands that, my approach is very collaborative. And I think that's what also builds trust with teams as well.
Sounds like everybody knows they're on the team.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Krishna. It's been so nice spending this time with you, and I can't wait to hear more about what happens next year.
The bar's higher now.
Fight on, Krishna.
Right on. Thank you, Dr. Franklin.